Hello, hello, hello. CT here. Welcome to the Audio Lab. Throughout this month of July, I'm running a little experiment. I know so many of you love to listen to your books, and since I'm getting ready to eventually record and publish the official audiobook for Brown Beyond Borders, Emerging into Golden Dimension Multidimensionality, I wanted to practice out loud with you first. So every single day this month, I'm pulling up a chair, I'm reading a few pages of my memoir right here. And if you're on the free list, these daily drops will stay open for you for just a few days before they head into the archives for my paid subscribers. So make sure you keep up. And if you ever miss a session or want to unlock the entire archive to listen at your own pace, you can upgrade to a paid subscription anytime. But for today, let's just hang out, get into the story. We are officially heading into the meat and potatoes of my book with part 1, chapter 1. So let's do this. Part 1, Portrait of a U.S. educated immigrant brown woman. Chapter 1, Diverse Experiences, Harmonized Voices. U.S. educated brown women from immigrant families have unique experiences and challenges that shape the individuals they become in Western society. Factors like country of origin, cultural heritage, religious traditions, and socioeconomic backgrounds contribute to a range of experiences that, in some contexts, can make it difficult for this demographic to find their tribe of sisters. What exacerbates the immigrant experience for this demographic is America's past. While championing ideals of freedom and opportunity, the historical narrative of the United States has been intertwined with social, classist, gender, and religious hierarchies that complicate the immigrant experience, particularly for young women. Further disadvantaging this segment, particularly among Brown and Black women, is America's deeply entrenched system of racial inequality. The nation's historical legacy of slavery and segregation continues to cast a long shadow over the lives of young immigrant women of color in America. Systemic racism, racial stereotypes, microaggressions, intergenerational trauma, lack of representation, and cultural conflicts all contribute to the difficulties they face in achieving the so-called American dream. Paradoxically, as diverse as their experiences and challenges are, there are commonalities shared by all women who do not appear to be white. Many of the Black and Brown women I have met over the years demonstrate a great deal of self reflection, exhibiting high levels of self awareness and a great deal of compassion towards others as they make their way through their lives. Having been brought up with feet, excuse me, having been brought up with feet in two different cultures, that of their families and that of their mainstream US environment, my brown sisters have danced across the boundaries of cultural expectations, instinctively code switching to the measured pace of a waltz and then the syncopated beats of jazz with an intuitive flair that only lived experiences can teach. While some of them suffered trials in their youth, I have observed how many of my multi ethnic biracial counterparts today are blazing trails, not only as pioneers in their own families, but also as leaders in their workplaces, embracing contrasts and forging unity. This chapter explores the complexities of identity formation, navigating cultural expectations, and the impact of intersectionality. Through personal narratives and insightful analysis, you will gain a deeper understanding of the diverse experiences within this demographic, the role of cultural norms and familial expectations in shaping identity, and the challenges and triumphs of being a trailblazer. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a clearer picture of the multifaceted portrait of the US educated woman of color from an immigrant family. And more importantly, you'll realize how this multidimensionality is the quality that unites women with their tribe of similarly unique and complex individuals. Be prepared to embark on a journey of self discovery and empowerment. My parents had moved to the United States before I had started kindergarten, and I had grown up in the nation's capital since then. They didn't move there in the way you might imagine. There were no coyotes, there was no waiting in endless lines at the airport dragging luggage around. Things weren't like that for my family, and they weren't like that for many of the immigrants my family and I knew in the Washington, D.C. area. Like many resident aliens in the United States, particularly in DC, we were in the country as guests, holding a type of diplomatic visa. And don't let the fancy name fool you. These visas were not like the automatic immunity deals you see on television and in the movies. I attended school with the children of actual diplomats, and we all had similar visas. Contrary to what you might think, all of us on that visa knew we were visitors in the country, there temporarily to serve a governmental purpose. In my family's case, we were there because an international organization employed my father, and after a few years, my mother also found work in a similar international organization. Growing up as a biracial child of immigrants in the United States involves learning a whole new set of rules. One rule is clear: know your place. This unspoken code is something minority groups understand all too well. My father was a trailblazer. He was the first in his family to attend university off the island of Trinidad, his birthplace. He had earned a PhD from a prestigious university in Canada, and by the time he had gotten the job offer, he was already a proud father of two, my brother and me. Landing a respected job in the US Capitol was a significant accomplishment for any foreigner, let alone a Black man from a small Caribbean island that most people had never heard of. So you can imagine his shock when he was detained at immigration in New York. Even with documents in hand, the immigration officials didn't believe he was there to start a new job at a prestigious international organization. He had to spend a night in a hotel while the authorities verified his story. Eventually, everything was sorted out. He began the job, and soon after, my mother, brother, and I joined him in Washington. We settled in a quiet cul de sac in Springfield, Virginia. Today, it's considered a hop and a skip from the city, but back then, it was the South. My brother and I were still young, too young for kindergarten. We spent our days in daycare, playing with the other kids in the neighborhood during the summer. We didn't realize it at the time, but we were experiencing the prejudices of our era and surroundings. One day I asked my mom, "Why do the other kids call me and my brother black sheep?" I don't remember her answer, but I appreciate that she didn't explain racism to us back then. I'm not sure she would have been able to capture its complex nuances, nor would I have been able to handle it. My father grew up in a country where Black people were the majority. He knew where he was headed when he entered the United States, a land where its indigenous peoples, Black Americans, immigrants, and many others strove and struggled to lead free lives. He was well read. He would have studied the works of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and other civil rights leaders. Years later, I learned that our family's ancestors fought for the British during the American Revolution, earning their freedom and eventually being sent as freedmen to settle in Trinidad. Having brown skin in Virginia, I didn't think much about my skin color unless the outside world reminded me. Black sheep, the kids would yell as I chased them during a game of tag. I was a fast runner and rarely it because they couldn't catch me. I loved running, climbing trees, and playing with the girl who lived down the street. My father became increasingly surly as the years passed. He noticed the cold shoulders from our neighbors who barely spoke to us. He knew they tolerated our playing with their kids only because it gave them grown up time. And after 5 years, we left Springfield and moved to Washington. I cried, missing my friend. A few months later, my Springfield friend's mom drove her to our new house in the city. I brought my friend up to my room where I showed off my dollhouse and we started to play. My mom stood guard by the front door. She didn't invite my friend's mom inside. And after a very short while, she called from downstairs, "Cynthia, your friend and her mom have to leave now." My family and I spent the rest of my childhood in the city. It was closer to work for my parents and school for my brother and me. I never saw my friend again. America's legacy of slavery and segregation, coupled with waves of xenophobia and anti immigrant sentiment, have created a stratified society where newcomers, especially those of color, face significant barriers to integration and belonging. These historical injustices can manifest as microaggressions, stereotypes, and systemic biases that erode self esteem and hinder access to opportunities. Although these anecdotes reveal events from my past, they are not unique to me. They illustrate the childhood experiences of many brown immigrant children, and they highlight how young immigrant women face the intersecting challenges of systemic racism and gender inequality in the United States. The black sheep taunts and the neighbor's cold shoulders spotlight the racial prejudice experienced by children of color. This prejudice is compounded by gender discrimination for young girls who are often expected to conform to societal norms of femininity, making them even more vulnerable to discrimination. The white boys in the neighborhood loathed to be outrun by a girl who was not only younger than them, but also brown. Their parents had likely picked on them at the dinner table, who themselves resented being outperformed by the only black man on the block with a prestigious city job and a PhD. These stories reveal the impact of intergenerational trauma on immigrant families. My father's experience of being detained at immigration, despite his professional achievements, reflects the historical and ongoing struggles faced by Black immigrants in the United States. Now, some 40 years later, this story still upsets me. It illustrates how discrimination is so deeply woven into the fabric of America's land of opportunity narrative that many immigrants, including my father, will dismiss incidents of discrimination as one offs. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong immigration officer. That is where we're stopping for today. If you have a question about the book, the writing process, or anything we covered in today's segment, including the material of today's chapter, just drop it in the comments of this post, or you can send me an email at ct@ctluna.com. And I might just answer your question on a future episode. I'm really, really glad I'm getting to share this unedited process with you. Look out for the next pages in your inbox tomorrow morning. They won't be pages, they will be audio. And if you know someone who would connect with this part of the journey, please share this post with them while it's still open to the public. And if you want to support this audio experiment and my writing as I start drafting book 2, consider becoming a paid subscriber to unlock everything. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you tomorrow.